what accounts for the stress and anxiety in going back fully after over a whole year of online school?
Yeah, so I think something that I know for a fact that I would struggle with. I'm not actually returning for phase 4A. I'm most probably going to come back in the fall. But I think just being like an outsider looking in and that kind of perspective, I think that a lot of students are going to have trouble readjusting. I know for a fact as a Zoomer, I know I'm gonna have to readjust again, and I was barely like kind of getting the hang of 3B schedule. And then now I have to like remember that we're in 4A, and then I have to like look at the schedule like every day, and I'm like scared. I'm like, oh my God, am I gonna miss class? Like that kind of fear because I don't remember the time, like the timetable for every class. So I think just the whole readjusting and like finding other times to study is something that I'm really going to struggle with because I predominantly use that Wednesday for my studying, but now I'm going to have to like push it a little towards the end of the day when it comes to studying. Um, so I think in that readjusting aspect, I think it's going to be really hard. I also think that students that are in person are also going to kind of struggle with that too. Um, for me, I think as an outsider looking in, I think COVID is a really big worry. I know like everyone says like, oh, but it's COVID, it's like a pandemic. And I'm like, yeah, it is COVID. And at least for me, because um, I kind of, I've kind of been hit by COVID before March. I got hit by COVID in like January when the first case like popped up in the United States because I have a dad who works in the emergency room and a mom that is a dentist. So like I was hearing about COVID and like listening to it, seeing it um, kind of play out in our lives since January. So it's been a kind of a long time, like kind of just dealing with it. So I think when it comes to fully going back, I'm a little bit worried about it because like our athletic community, at least in Saratoga, has had a couple cases or has been close to a couple cases as far as like the like sports, and obviously they're wearing masks, but obviously there's always going to be that risk. So for me, I think that's my worry, and that's kind of my stress and anxiety.
Yeah, I also want to take that time to just speak to the other end of the spectrum. Like just because we're going back 5 days a week does not mean everything is back to normal, right? Like, yes, even if you have your vaccine, still wear your mask just because it sets that example, right, for everyone else, right? We are not fully vaccinated yet. This pandemic is not over. So, we still have a duty to, partake in these health measures.
Yeah, I think another thing too that accounts for a lot of the stress and anxiety surrounding it is that some people and maybe many people feel like they're feeling the way they're feeling, they're the only one feeling that way. And it can be very, very helpful to know that there are many other people out there who are feeling the exact same way you are, even if you feel like kind of this way about some of the topics and kind of this way about some of the other ones. There's definitely people out there who are feeling the same way that you are. And so don't feel like you're isolated in that way and don't feel like you're strange because you do feel that way. There are other people that are like that. And kind of like what Miss Rothstein was saying, if some of that discomfort um, around that is impacting your learning at school, share that with your teachers. That's something that they want to know. They go head over heels to make your learning experience and your well-being their top priority, and knowing that is kind of crucial information. So you're definitely not alone in your feelings.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think also one of the things, honestly, that helped me, one was the ability to get the vaccine. But as somebody where I'm a type 1 diabetic and have been since I was 6 years old. So for myself and for my husband, like there were some real like worries and questions around, until that happened, like, how did I feel okay? And then knowing I have 3 small kids. But I think one of the things that helped me was when they started to go back to school, and they had their own slowly like phased in process of returning. But when they did, and I was able to see how they handled it, being much younger than our students, and we're keeping masks on and were doing all the things that they needed to do, it gave me like glimmers of hope, seeing like, okay, like these students are handling it and they're young. And I know that there's worry around how our own young people on our campuses handle themselves and do all those things and what teachers bring home and all of those pieces. I just know that I can control what I do, and I can control the way that my family interacts, and like what we feel comfortable doing. So I just try to be, for myself, I try to be mindful of that, and understanding that maybe everyone's comfort zones are different. And so that just might be even in the way that we like say hello or we greet each other and how far apart we're standing and all of those pieces. I kind of wait to see where somebody else feels okay. And then I'm like, okay, now let me like judge my own feelings around that. But it's just like a lot more thought to interaction than I ever had in my whole life. I'm used to seeing people and giving people a hug, and that, I haven't been able to do that. And I think just being on campus while we are there, it feels different. There are some pieces where I'm like, oh, that feels like school. I heard laughter in that classroom. But there are just some other pieces where you're like, it's not the same, and that's okay. It just isn't. And I have to recognize that, and kind of get to a place of accepting that it isn't. And how do I feel about that? And like work through my feelings around all of this stuff.
Yeah, well said, Ms. Rothstein. Um, Another thing that I think is might cause some stress and anxiety is like an issue that we had before the pandemic, which kind of went away a little bit during the pandemic, which was just, the image we present, like in either the way we act or what we wear, right? It's like all of a sudden, oh shoot, we have to worry about this stuff again because social anxiety. Um, so I mean, just what is there to say to that? I'm just curious what you guys have to think.
I can go first. I think it's the same like topic at Saratoga High School. I think we care. I think as human beings, I think we care a lot like what other people think of us, instead of really caring about like our heart and our soul and like what truly matters to us and how we express ourselves. So how I kind of dealt with this, actually, this kind of goes back to like the confidence webinar, or I think that Cats to Cats hosted, and I was a panelist for it. Um, but how I kind of dealt with that pre-pandemic was like, I wouldn't want people around me that liked me because I was like fake, or like I wasn't really who I truly was. I want people around me that love and care for me because of how I am and how I act, and how and my values and my morals and things like that, and what I believe in, right? Um, so I would say that really focus on what makes you happy, because at the end of the day, your happiness is like above all else. You don't necessarily need like 5,000 friends on Instagram or 5,000 friends around you. Like, it doesn't matter. If you have one really good friend that loves and cares for you just the way that you truly are, that is honestly more than enough. If you have yourself, honestly, I think that's more than enough, because your happiness shouldn't be dependent on other people either. So you have to like love yourself from within. And then if people want to be friends with you or want to hang out with you because they love you for who you are, then that's totally okay too. I mean, that's how I think about it, at least.